Howdy Internet. Today we are going to level, crown, and polish the frets on the Stratocaster neck. I've already kind of started by disassembling the guitar, removing the nut. I've even gone in here and leveled the frets with the straight edge, and I'm doing this on top. I'm not leveling the neck itself, I'm leveling the frets. So I use the straight edge on top of the frets. I got it fret as flat as I could with my thinnest thickness gauge and by adjusting the truss rod. So without further ado, we're going to tape this off and then begin the process. Let's go. I'm going to start by adding tape along the edges because it makes taking the remainder of the tape off easier. And again, this isn't so much for masking as this is, just makes it easier to remove the tape after the fact. I'm going to do this, I'm going to tear it and do it on both sides. There we go. Do one on the other side. Again, this isn't so much like a how-to, but this is like an open discussion that I invite people to the chat. Basically ask me questions or bring up topics of conversation. Start by masking all the frets, and then we'll I like to use the white tape for the bigger frets because the tape itself is cheaper. I get this tape at Sherwin-Williams at like at a contractor rate. So there's one thing you can do if you're into this work like me is go to Sherwin-Williams and get a contractor account, and not just to buy tape occasionally. I buy a lot of other products from them. Sandpaper, I like it because there's one right around the corner from the store. So we're at a level crown polish on this guitar today. It's not really that bad, but we're gonna do it. I do notice some play wear. I haven't cleaned this up. I think the worst thing with this guitar was it was just nasty. The strings were rusted and stuff. And so before I did any of this, cleaned it up and removed the neck, obviously. Mask off everything with the frets, and then I'll go over with the Sharpie and color the top of the fret so I can monitor my progress in this process. Try to get in here, and I'll go up to about the 6th fret with this, and then I'll get the special binding tape out. Not binding tape, but I guess the fret masking tape. This is to protect the fingerboard from my tools and the sandpaper and from any scratching. Some people don't even mask like rosewood or these dark colored fretboards. We got the little fancy tape dispenser for this. And so you buy these from Stu Mac, and they're like pre-cut. It makes this process go really quick. Trying to do this all in one go. Tape it until it's all masked. So fretwork on a Saturday. And again, I already leveled the top of the frets. I didn't use a notch straight edge. I used a regular straight edge and leveled from the top of the frets because I'm re-leveling. If I were maybe leveling from scratch or like a brand new set of frets, I would have used the notch straight edge, but I didn't. I used just a straight edge and then underneath it to get it as level as I could. And then from here, we're going to sand it level after some more masking. A lovely, fun masking process. It's just kind of fun, it's like coloring in between the lines, but tape. So, this is almost done with this, and we can start the fun part. Hopefully, these aren't jacked too much. That it shouldn't take a lot of leveling, so this should be a quicker process than most for this guitar. It's already pretty well leveled to begin with, and so I'm just basically taking out some playware and, you know, maybe putting a slightly better crown on it. That's more subjective, I guess. A few more frets, and then we'll begin the next process. I gotta help that lady real quick. Okay. All right. Yes. $48.99 plus whatever rosin. He's been playing 3 years.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I would probably at this point go with the light rosin.
Okay. Whichever one, I don't know anything about it. He knows all the ins and outs.
So it's $48.99 plus this. Search Sherman's, and I'll tell you the price. I don't think there's a barcode on this. It's just there. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Picking up that violin I strung in the last video. Couple more of these and it'll be completely masked. Pre-cut tape makes this process very quick, although you pay for it because, you know, Stumac. All right, I'm gonna get a piece of this tape here. Now that it's all taped off, what I'll also do is put a little bit of tape over the tuners here, just in case my tool hits it. I don't want to scratch anything, but I will do that just in case my tool bumps it. Say I'm going to be taking that leveling beam and running it back and forth across this. Next step, I like to use blue or purple. We're going to use purple today. We're going to come in on top and then mark all the frets. And then make sure we're getting the ink in the little divots that the player created from playware, because this is how we're going to gauge how much to take off. Is that showing up? Yeah, that's showing up. Cool. People. And so through the polishing process, any of this coloring is going to go away. So you're obviously not going to see the coloring. And yeah, these frets up here are perfect. Like there's a little bit of wear from a bunch of bending, but this isn't bad at all. Also, prior to this, when I was assessing everything, I went over it with a fret rocker, and everything's pretty level on this neck. Like if it were my guitar, I would just play through it more and wear it in a little bit further. But because I think the thing this really needed the most. Now there's play wear on here. I'm not going to discount that, but I felt that this needed the most was just a cleaning and a restring. However, we're going to give it the works. We're going to do level crown polish and then a setup. We may even change the pickups on this guitar, but I don't know. I don't think it needs it. I think I installed these pickups on this guitar. We'll see the body maybe in another video. Like 4 years ago or so. So I remember doing it at my house, and they were good pickups. I think they were a nice Fender set. I have the fancy Stumac leveling beam, which is a good tool. I have radius gauges too, like the nice ones. But for the tops of the frets, those aren't really the best thing to use. It's best to use the beam because you have more control. Because if the fretboard is like 9.5-inch radius, the frets are going to be like 9.52 radius. So it's not exactly a 9.5 at the top of the fret. So that's why the straight beam is good. And also, like, if you got more wear on one side, you can kind of tailor the shape of the frets so that you don't have to sand like inches. I know I'm being facetious, but you don't have to sand a lot off the other side if one side just needs a little dressing. You know, you can just kind of do it. You know, you can do it to your need, to your liking. Gotta prep the sanding beam. Let's see. 800. No, we don't start with that. We start with the heavy grit. That's 400. 320. Does we have another one? Are there any more choices of grit? Yeah, there is. This 220. That's 600. Huh. So we got 320, 600, 400, 800. All right, 320 it is. I did label these inside. All right. So our leveling tool. All right. About to get started. Sandpaper on the leveling beam. Do this so I can get here and level. So feel free to hit up the chat if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to tell me what I'm doing wrong. So this is basically a straightforward process to where we sand. And basically we're looking to get straight, even lines across all the frets. Not really even, but yeah, a continuous line rather across the frets. and also file down the low spots that were dug in. Even that little bit of filing kind of tells us, it may be hard to pick out on camera unless we kind of zoom in, but that kind of tells us they're high and low spots, roughly, mind you. So I'm going to go back and forth across this thing and then focus on the low spots. So that doing good. We got some low frets here in the middle, but I kind of noticed that when I was assessing everything. And I think we'll get those leveled because the first few frets where all the cowboy chords are played, those definitely have some divots in it that will take removing a little bit of material to fix. But again, this shouldn't take much because this was already very level. And basically, we're just kind of removing the playware. Keeping things nice and level. We got most of it done. Still a little bit of divots in the first couple frets. Little divot there. Got a small spot here where this fret's a little bit lower than the rest of them, but we almost got it. Just right now focusing on the low spots. Mostly on the treble side of things. And then got some low spots still in some of these middle frets. Focus on that. All right, those low spots are gone. Where I guess the E string is, we got a couple low spots here. Because I'm using the beam instead of like a radius gauge, I don't have to carve away the whole fret. I can just focus on the area that needs it. And then here's both extremities. Now we're good on the bass side. We just got some couple more low spots on the treble side. We're done with this. We're done with leveling. And we'll crown. Crowning does take a little bit longer, but this shouldn't be too bad because, you know, we're just leveling playware. There's a low spot here on this fret. Right there, these couple low spots is what I'm aiming to get rid of now. I'm hardly taking anything off these, which is good because you don't want to do this process very quick. Almost there, just that one little spot, and then we're home free. We can move on to the next step. This is 320 grit too, so it's not like it's very coarse. And this one little fret here up at the top, that just probably just more of the angle I've been running this thing. A little bit more, just a hair. Good. Well, nah, a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Now, I'm going to dust this, dust these filings off. I'm done leveling, so now it's recrowning. So I like to use just a brush and then wipe off all the metal shavings. We have leveled frets. We can even check with the straight edge how level they are. Now, granted, the tops of these frets are very flat now. Oh, yeah. All the way across. Perfect. Now, I am going to recolor the tops of them so we can check our progress while we crown them. So going back over these, we're going to establish a purple line. We are now in the next phase, crowning. And then I use the StuMac files. I do use a lot of StuMac tools. Most of them are great. I like the files that I'll be using for this. The Z files. I may use like this the centered one too. So we're gonna get some nice crowns on these frets. It didn't take me very long to do that sanding. Didn't take much. Stop when it's done. So I think it's in this case. So I'll be using an original Z and then a centered Z. I kind of like the centered one to get started, and then I'll come in and hone it in after the centered. I think it has two angles. It's got like a narrow angle and an obtuse angle. I think you use the narrow one first, and then you go back with the wider angle. Let's try that. So this is the centered Z file. I'm going to go all over these, all with the narrow one first. That's good. Helps keep it centered, I guess, on the fret, which is good. It's what we want. Since it's the narrower angle, I think it grabs more so like the bottom of the fret, and then when you flip it around to the obtuse angle, it grabs more so at the top and narrows the top. We'll see. So again, I have the more acute angle of the file going over the frets, and then I'll come back and do the more obtuse angle because the centered file has the two angles on it. All right, so more with this. We're in step 2, crowning. See, this would be the time to hit up the chat. Ask me questions while I'm doing this monotonous work, the repetitive. I usually try not to one-shot all this work. I'll usually do this in stages. I'll start with the leveling, and then I'll take a break, and then I'll do crown some of them, and then take a break, and then crown the rest. And I'll also do this while I watch YouTube or Rumble or something. Two more. Try not to get my hand on top of it so I don't wipe away the. I know it's permanent marker, but it's on metal, so it doesn't. So we're going one time through with the more narrow angle of the centered Z file. Now we're going to go back over them using the opposite edge with the larger angle of the centered file. Oh yeah, this is working perfectly. And now it's refining the crown even more. Nice. So that worked beautifully. I would recommend that. Oh yeah, this is so easy to do. Like butter. Okay. That couldn't have gone any smoother. Okay, so that's definitely the way to do this. And again, it depends on the size of your frets. If you got jumbo frets or frets that are just larger than the tool itself, of course, this isn't going to work very well. But this is, I guess, medium size, like fender frets. Going with the smaller angle, then following up with the larger angle is butter. I know these didn't take much really crowning, or didn't need much crowning to begin with, but this is probably one of the smoothest processes I've had doing this. Wow. Yeah. It works really good. It's turning that fat purple line into a nice, real thin line. And that's what you want. What you're looking for is you're trying to look for the thickness of the line to kind of be even across the fret. That's the main thing. It's not so much its overall thickness, although that does matter too. It's more of like its consistent thickness across the fret. Wow, easy peasy. I used to not really care for this tool, but now that I'm using it correctly, I can see why it's... Oh yeah, it helps if you use the tool correctly, durr. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell the difference on how thin the line is from me flipping the tool around and going to the other side. Again, and this is like, I'm saying this is not to lecture my audience, but to remind myself in the future is that with this tool, you start with the narrow angle and then work to the big angle. We're on the big angle now. Yeah, marvelous. And again, since I took a little bit more off the treble side of these frets than the bass side, I do have to focus the crowning tool more on the treble side because it is flatter, because that's where I dwelled for longer with the leveling beam. Wonderful. This is working great. All right, we're about halfway done with this side of the tool. I may follow it back up with the Z file, but I think we'll be good. I don't even think that's necessary. I think this did the trick. Yeah, I don't think we'll need to follow up with the additional file. I think this is just fine. This is looking great. Now I may go back over it with the same file and touch up on some spots. Also keep in mind, if you're gauging, well, what is the average time something like this takes? Keep in mind that prior to me hitting record today, I probably spent 30 minutes removing the neck off the guitar, cleaning it, and then making sure that it was completely level by adjusting the truss rod before I even began today's recording with taping and leveling the frets. So be sure to add 30 minutes onto this job time here for this particular guitar. Wonderful. That's like a textbook. Yeah, especially on these upper frets where there wasn't like hardly any wear at all. Yeah, this centered file works great for this size frets. Again, if these were like jumbo frets, wouldn't be able to use this tool. Well, maybe. I guess it depends on how jumbo they are. But looks like we got 4 more. This should go kind of quick. I have to confess that this isn't my favorite kind of work. This is really tedious for me. But if you've ever, well, I have, because I can say I've done this. So I've played, of course, the guitar before and after this kind of work, and it's like butter. I feel like if with a good fret job and a good polishing, the notes just ring out better, and it makes sense because if they're leveled and set up correctly, the strings aren't going to hang up on high frets because there aren't any. All right. So now just going to go over with that same side and this final touches. Final touches. That one needed some on the treble side. There we go. Voila. That's pretty much it for crowning. That turned out pretty good. That was pretty painless with that tool. Then again, it wasn't that far off level. Now the next step, final step, polishing. The fun part. However, I've learned some tricks to make this process a little bit faster thanks to, I guess, I forget the channel, but I guess the String Tech Workstations. This is how he polishes his frets after doing leveling and crowning. And I won't do it any other way now, because instead of sitting there and doing all the little grits in every fret, what he does is he takes a soft sponge. It can be any soft sponge. This is a sanding sponge. Just something that kind of moves. This is just my like block, in other words, but it's kind of spongy. And then I wrap, starting with my highest grit, and I've had these from a prior job, but we can reuse them. You can reuse these a couple times. 3,000, and then 2,000. These are the grits. 1,500, and making a nice sandpaper taco. 1,000 grit. I went and got all these grits from like the local Home Depot, Lowe's, Sherman-Williams paint shops. 800, so that it progresses through these grits. This is 600. 400. 320. And we're going to start with 220, which is the final wrap for this. And then again, I try not to dwell too long on these heavier grits, but you got to start with these because about 220 is roughly the coarseness of these diamond files. In fact, like the smaller ones are even labeled with the coarseness on them. So, and again, I don't push too hard because I don't want to ruin my crowns, but since this is paper and it gives a little bit and there's a sponge underneath, this should glide over and conform, and I've done this several times, this works great, to the new crowns of the frets that you just put on. So let's do this. So we just go over all of them. And we do that with the 220. I want to do this enough and not too much. There's your 220. And we remove that. And then underneath is our 320. We go all over the frets. Also kind of getting the sides, the edges here of them, so those get nice and polished. Good. Next grit. This is, I believe, 400. And then for some of these, I may roll the paper over a little bit so that it's on an unused section of it, like that. There we go. $400 grit. This is 600 grit, I believe. Should we get the sides? This is the other reason why I masked these off well. And we have 800 hanging out underneath the rest of these grits. Doing the edges, getting the tops. And then again, since this is a sponge and I'm not pushing really hard, just letting it glide over, it shouldn't level the tops of these frets, but more so kind of glide over them. And then this is 1000 grit right now. Now we're at 1500. And we got 2000 grit. Good. How are you?
All right, Joe.
I'm doing great.
I gotta go to the car. A Keratin 2 Pro.
Cool. You like it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just a screen going. I had somebody had to push in the jack, and the jack broke through the base, so I gotta fix it back. I gotta go do some more stuff. I need some screens for it. What would you recommend?
It's a bass?
No.
Oh, it's an electric guitar?
Yes, sir. There's steel strings.
GHS is a... Jaime, come help this man. GHS is a good... oh, no, for electric. Yeah. GHS is good for the price. Of course, if you can... if you got more to budget yourself, you know what? Some of my favorite ones are those Dunlops. Show them those Dunlops or those Veritas ones above it. Those are great. The Veritas ones come with extra strings, too. So after I've gone through the sandpaper, I use... This is, we ended up on 3000 grit. I use... There's a 4000 and 8000 grit fret eraser from StuMac that I follow up with. And so these I will go over the individual frets because I don't have them in like a paper. But to go up those grits, we'll just drag this across each fret. And again, this is 4000 grit. Starting to get that lovely mirror finish. And these are rubbery, so I'm not flattening Wow, I can tell the difference already from this one to that one. I guess you can in the camera because it's cleaner. That's with 4,000 over these. Wow, they really pop on the camera. Yeah. Nice. 4,000. We're gonna go all of them, and then we'll follow up with the 8,000 grit, and then some steel wool.
Speaking of bands, I got a band. We're doing a show like you said in October.
When?
26th October.
You got a flyer?
Yeah, I don't got one ready yet.
Okay. 26 October, you can. The skate park.
Yeah, the skate park.
Okay, okay.
Show there. 6:30.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely see the difference on
October
camera now.
26th, skate park. What time?
That's not just because of the fret eraser. That's because of the processes that led up to it. You're on camera, bro. I'm streaming live.
Are you?
Yeah. So you know.
How many people watching?
Hole 2 right now.
All right. Cleaning just brass or?
I re-leveled them and then put new crowns on them, and now I'm polishing them so that they're nice and smooth and shiny to play on. You ready to check out? Or
Yeah, I know.
okay, cash your card.
Okay.
You got it. $8. Been doing all right?
Sure. Yeah, a friend of mine, he called me. Well, he was like, boy, you want this guitar? All right, yeah. Great. He said, I found me a lady friend. I was like, what? I'm still here by myself right now. What are you talking about? I gave him the guitar.
Well, I got her one, so hopefully 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know you another 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now here we go.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. See you around.
You want Mike? You want one?
4,000 grit. Wow, going from that 3,000 to this 4,000 is definitely like the difference between a gray and silver. We got another grit after this. We can polish it even further. Yeah, looks so good. And then pull the tape off, clean it up a bit, any tape residual, and put some lemon oil on it, make it all shiny.
But right now, as of right now, I'm recording music off of Apple. Yeah, I record off my phone and my laptop, so I understand the struggle. Definitely recommend it. You can probably get a focus right, but it's really the same thing. Probably a little bit better.
He already did. He paid. He's good.
October 24th. 26. October 26th. All right. What time?
6:30.
Almost there. Then we go with the last fret eraser. The reason I use the fret erasers is because I'm not able to find micro mesh or grits. Well, I have micro mesh. Yeah, I can go in with even heavier micro mesh after this 8,000. I think I will. But I have these fret erasers for these couple grits. I used to do the whole process with fret erasers, go from the 220 fret eraser all the way up to 8,000, and that took so long. So I'm glad I came across the little sandpaper method I just showed you. That will save you an incredible amount of time on polishing frets if you ever do this kind of work. I even, when I did it the first time, after seeing it done by the guy from String Tech Workstations, I saved so much time. I took the time I saved to personally message them to thank them. In the future, I think I will be getting one of their workstations. I need more room. Once I get more room in a bigger shop, I'll be definitely getting one of those. Shout out to them. I like their content. We're not affiliated.
Yes, sir. We got a couple.
Boom. Shiny, shiny. Yes. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, you're looking for a violin for your child?
Yeah.
Okay. What grade is he in? Or she?
She's only 4.
Okay. You're gonna have to have the individual sized for a violin that fits them. I don't think I have any that small, but typically you want to start with like an 8th or a 16th size. The violin is sized to the individual at that point. Um, I may be able to order you one, but I don't have anything like that in stock at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, because I need it for tomorrow, but that's all right.
Yeah, I'm not going to have one of those on hand. You may want to try Lyle's Violin Shop in Pasadena.
In Pasadena? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Bye. Fungus Bob says, I got lemon oil on there. So shiny. Absolutely. That's coming on after I finish the polishing. That's going on. We're going to go 8,000 with the 8,000 grit fret eraser. I'm going to follow up with a couple micro mesh that are of higher grits because I have them, mine as well. Although these look like mirrors, we're going to go a step further and make them even shinier, hopefully. Going from 4,000 to 8,000 nets us. It doesn't even look any different. I'm still going to do it though, but not quite as good as that last transformation. Moving forward. Polishing all the frets. Make sure we get the ends all over the tops, the sides. Making them shiny. I can feel the warmth off of them. So yeah, this is definitely abrasive and polishing. After I run the eraser over them, they're warm. Yeah. I guess I can grab this like that. I'm not worried about removing any of the marker because it's all gone now. And I'm applying good pressure to this. Like I'm not just dragging it, I'm pushing in on it. Although instead of the micro mesh, I do have a buffing wheel with Jeweler's Rouge, which would probably be better at this stage. I can hit these up with that Jeweler's Rouge. We'll give that a try. That ought to be kind of fun. I think it's neat to watch too. You can see me use a spinning buffing wheel. We'll do that instead of the micro mesh. And even now, these look great. These are probably shinier than what most frets leave the factory floor. Even in some of the custom shop models, they can get them shinier than what they do. Oh man, and like if you have a well-polished fret, bends just feel amazing. They slide so easy. I've even seen some guitars, a lot of guitars from Mexico, not necessarily Fenders, but like more so of your traditional guitar Bajo Quinto makers. They don't even like polish the frets at all. You look at some of the frets on those instruments, and it's like they just ground them and sent them. It's like all they did was level, maybe a little crowning, but they definitely didn't polish because you can see all the tool marks in them. And you can see on camera the shine there. And wow, we're only a hour and 7 minutes into this, and we're this far in the polishing. We did the leveling and crowning already. This went a little quicker than planned, which is good, but these weren't that bad. This was probably not very necessary just yet. He could have probably played this for another 6 months or a year. Well, whatever. Here it is. Now it's all good and shiny. Buffing wheel time. Jeweler's Rouge. My old buffing wheel that I use for this job, which is stacked buffing wheels. I'm going to chuck it in my drill and just... That's kind of fun. Let's do that. Thank you for watching. Feel free to hit up the chat if you wish. That's another reason that's good to... I got to chuck this first. It's another reason it's good to tape the fingerboard because I'm actually going to add another little piece of tape down here. Focus camera. Gonna hit it with the buffer. Gonna buff these frets. Nice and shiny from all the polishing. Rob F says howdy. Howdy, Rob. Thank you for joining us. Chuck this up. Not get buffing compound in my coffee. Oh yeah. Let me get a little piece of rouge out. Oh man, that made a mess. Don't drop the thing. Ah! Well, there's entertainment for y'all. Who saw that coming? Oops. Yeah. Oh well. That's not too terribly bad, but we'll deal with it. I'm going to polish and then clean that up. A little bit more Jeweler's Rouge. Oh yeah, this looks good. Let me clean up my mess. Yeah, nice. Rob says, LOL, oops. Yeah, oops. Happens to all of us. Well, thanks for admitting your humanity. We're all human. We make mistakes. I guess the rest of these little chunks can just go in the trash now. Too bad they don't polish the floor. Okay. Next thing is we're actually going to follow this up with steel wool. And we're just about done. We could start putting this back together. Rouge on my fingers. That's all right. I'll wash them in a second. Quadruple lot steel wool. Now, I've seen pros do this a lot. They follow up the polishing with the steel wool. I don't know their justification behind it, but then again, these people know more than I do, so I'm just going to, the monkey see, monkey do. Try not to spill any more of my tools. Luckily, nothing broke. All right, nice. These are shiny. Shinier than when we started. All right, I guess we're ready for the big reveal here. Let me add some anticipation by cleaning up a little bit before I start pulling this tape off. The suspense. Let's do this. Start by pulling this off. And then I may come back after it with a little bit of naphtha or lighter fluid, same stuff, to clean up any of the leftover tape residual. I think back here is evidence of ownership from removing the typical decals. Here we go. Coming to that moment we've all been waiting for. Peel this up. Gonna do the other side. This is why I put those pieces on the sides first, because it makes this step incredibly easy to remove all the rest of the tape. Done this a couple times by now. Done this job before. All right. Just getting all this tape off. Seems to be a microphone kind of day. We have those $20 ones right there. Yep.
Plug into this guy here. I got my cord, huh?
It comes with a cord, 1/4 inch. That looks good, nice and shiny. I'm gonna clean it up with a little bit of lighter fluid. Actually, I don't think so. Most of that residual just went away. Yeah, I'm just gonna use Dunlop 65 cleaner. I don't feel any stickiness from the tape. And this is to get any schmoo off it.
Yeah, I think so. I got a mic line port for one for like channel 1 and one of them I tried to plug a mic in with one of these and it didn't fit here. So I guess the mic line is this piece here.
Again, this is the cleaner. Clean the back of the neck. Mostly I'm cleaning the back and neck because of the tape residual. Luckily, not a lot of it stuck. I'm going to go again because there is some finger guck on this fingerboard, fretboard.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Clean these up pretty good. Now, since we leveled these, we shouldn't have to make a new nut because the frets will actually be lower. So if anything, we may have to resize the slots in the nut, but I barely took anything off of here. It's probably just fine to go back in just like that. So the tusk nut, I believe I put in this guitar years ago. Finish up with some lemon oil. Bongo Bob's favorite.
No. The port won't work for this piece. Right? Because I tried a microphone. It had the auxiliary port for it, and it wouldn't work. I guess that was only for the guitar. Y'all are open till 7? Or whatever y'all close. That's what we put usually 7.
Okay. So keep in mind, there's no refund on microphones because of the health issue. Because he's talking to them around your mouth. So
Yeah, that's fine.
be very sure you're picking out the microphone you need exactly. One last check, because sorry, I'm interrupting and overhearing them. This has an XLR. Those have a 1/4 inch. So you know, this has the little 3-prong thing, and then the other one.
I think that's what I need.
If you're in,
I've already plugged in with that and it didn't work.
okay.
With the auxiliary cord?
And you have one of the inputs with the 3-hole circle thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It says channel 1 and it's got both of those ports. Mic/line in or whatever.
That'd be the way to go.
It should be this.
That's a little bit better mic than the other one too.
They're just doing karaoke upstairs.
Still a good mic. Yeah, that should work for you, hopefully.
Okay.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, microphones are one of those products that there's usually no refund with because the fact that you speak into it and they're by your face and your mouth. That's what it's like with the lemon oil. That doesn't last long. By the time the strings are on, it's not that shiny anymore. Frets will still be shiny though, but ends up I wouldn't say drying off, but more like rubbing off. Let me put more on just for the aesthetic appeal of video. I got plenty of this stuff. I sell it. Speaking of which, you can find it on the website, link in the description. Well, that pretty much is what the video topic covers. However, we're going to continue, and we're actually going to put it back on the guitar and set it up because I have time, and that's the next step with this, and then this job will be done. The next major video job, lemon oil number 1. You got that right, Bungle Bob. Yeah, I agree. Lemon oil for the win. Now, keep in mind, it's only for dark-colored fretboards. You don't use the lemon oil on maple or finished fretboards. It's only for bare wood, dark wood fretboards. Rob asks, what's the brown smudge on the top of the headstock? That is the here, or there's 2 of them here. That's this is a younger cat who's experimented with his own kind of relicking, and so that's his artistic markings. Yeah. Rob F says, must have been from an uppercut to someone's jaw. Yeah. Pow. I told you we're not playing that song. Get off the stage.
Oh man, we have a flea problem.
Why do we have a flea problem? Oh. Okay, I walked into that one. Look at the body for this guitar. Okay, so this is the body for this thing. I think it's an aftermarket body that was put on a Mexican Fender neck, and then, you know, they removed the evidence of it being a Mexican Fender, and they even went to the trouble to put a little water slide here that says made in USA, but you can tell it's a water slide because it doesn't match the decal underneath it. It's not really showing in the camera. But whatever. It's fun. And so here's a little bit more evidence of that, Rob. Yeah. It's his homemade relicking. I think he looks like he took one of those little like butane torches to it in certain spots. One thing I'm going to do before I put it back together, because this is something me and the customer talked about, is I do make pickups. However, he wanted to check out the other guitar I put my homemade pickups in that I made for him before he decided if I wanted to do it with this. But if I remember correctly, because I originally installed these, I think these are like good Fender pickups. So if these are good Fender pickups, the pickups that I make are very similar to these. I don't see the point. So unless I'm remembering it, I'm going to open this up and check. So unless I'm remembering incorrectly, but these are a good set of American Fender pickups. If that's not the case, if these are like Mexican Strat pickups or like Squire Strat pickups, then I will recommend a new set. But if these are good pickups in here, I don't think me winding a set and installing them in this guitar is going to be worth all that, because these are already good pickups. Will mine sound different? Yeah. Will they be better? Well, no, that's subjective. Could be. You could like them more, but I don't really suggest going forward with that unless these are pickups worth replacing. If they're not worth replacing, then no. But I also have a set. The old set he gave me out of here was a really nice American Fender set, but one of the pickups was bad. I ended up rewinding the bad pickup, and I used that set in my purple guitar, which I haven't streamed yet, which is just it was a free strat. So free strats are gonna free strat. But the pickups, after fixing the one that was originally out of this guitar, I've been playing with for like the past like year now. They're good pickups. Rob says, "Hey man, I don't know. Enjoy Taco Tuesday." Yeah, considering the guitar, it sounds like a Strat. I know. I'd keep them. Yep. I tell him tone is stored in the balls. That's right, Bungus Bob. And he even spelled tone correctly. Rob says those are tone burns on the body. Absolutely. Every additional scorch mark you have on your instrument is +2 to tone. What pickups are in here? Place your bets. I think this is a good set of Fender pickups, if I remember correctly. See if I can get in here to show. Yeah, these are. Okay, yeah. I think these are. No, these are great. These are 59s. Yeah. I am not going to replace these pickups. These are nice pickups unless the customer just absolutely does not like them. But I believe these are Fender 59s. And so this is a good high-end set of pickups that's already in here. It wouldn't make sense for me to rewind and put a new pickup in here. It's still going to sound like a Strat. These are good sounding Strat pickups. Best thing to do is rock and roll. And also, he has a Mexican Strat that I did very similar work. I had to do a level job because that guitar really needed it. And I even installed a set of my own pickups in it that hopefully he'll have heard by now. He is a enlisted military, so he doesn't always have access to his guitars. I don't like to talk too much about the clients, but he's been waiting to play one of the guitars that I put my pickups I made in for him. But I don't recommend changing these. These are nice pickups in here. I did do the cavity shielding. That's right. I did do that work. That is my past work. And I did wire this pick guard from parts of his old pick guard. That's right. He didn't want to change his knobs, so I just had to replace the one that was bad. Yeah. I could tell because that volume knob is a lot of soldering on it, but he didn't want to replace it. You can even tell from the outside. He just wanted it to work and get the new pickups in. Like a sound hole. Yeah, it's like, just like sound holes, like speed holes. Rob says, sorry, I think funny thoughts. No, you're funny, Rob. I enjoy it. Rob also says, I like the color on the mint green pick guard. You know what? I did not like, I was trying to, when he originally put this together, I didn't really like this color. But now that I'm seeing it, I'm warming up to mint green. I used to never like mint green, but now that I'm seeing it more, and I actually have a guitar with a mint green guard, I'm starting to warm up to it. It does look pretty guard. It is. I don't know what kind of body this is, but it was like a aftermarket body. It says Relic here. I don't know. I'm not sure it's Fender. I don't see any other. And then I can't read any of the tags in the cavities because it's covered in tape now. But I don't think this was a Fender body. I think this was just like some aftermarket eBay body. I like the sparkle paint though, minus the tone burns. To each their own. That's all I'm going to say about it. We're going to put this back together, put the neck back on. What I am going to do, since we're in this position and before I forget, I'm going to find the tool I lost, which is this guy. This is a Stumac tool I do like. It's this big fat tip flat screwdriver for these kind of truss rod. I'm gonna like back this off like probably like a quarter of a turn because I had to tighten it to level it. Yeah, about a quarter of a turn, and then we'll go from there. If we got to pull it off to set it up right again, we will. It's part of a setup. You got to go into these things expecting you're gonna disassemble the guitar a couple times. Rob says, hey, maybe that guitar went into battle. That would be a cool story. Yeah. Considering the owner. Maybe that is the case. This guitar fought for our freedom. I've known this customer since before I even had a music store. His parents would bring him to like the local bar on jam night so he can jam and play with other. And this kid can wail. He's a blues monster. And so if you ever see, well, I don't want to dox anybody, but yeah, aside from his artistic relicking tastes, this kid can play. This kid can outplay me. So he can sport his whatever style he wants to. He can back it up with his playing. So, hey. Get this guard back on here. Going to reattach the neck and string it. He normally does GHS strings, which GHS is not bad strings, but at the level this guy plays at, I would really like to see him move to a different string. I don't know, nothing against GHS, to each their own. But unless he watches this, we're going to put a set of Pure Blues. The size he likes, though, I'm not going to change the size on him. But I am going to sneak a set of Pure Blues on here and see if he notices, see if he likes them. Knowing my luck, he's going to go strum one chord and be like, oh, this is the worst strings, and like know right away. Joking, of course. I'm going to move this beam so I don't scratch anything. All right. I'm going to put this back together again. I think he also... Oh, no, that was the last bass. The last guitar, they reversed the plate when they put it on, but he kept his, and it shows the number. That's the top. Yeah, I don't pickups in here are awesome. I believe they're like custom shop 59. I forget the model. It's been like 4 or 5 years since I put them in. But I don't see the need for me to wind a new set for this guitar unless he's just like utterly appalled. But he really likes this guitar, so I don't think he would not like the sound of those pickups. He just, I think, kind of wants to put a set of my pickups in it to kind of like support me in that regard, in that endeavor, but it's not a big deal. I already made one. I already put some in a guitar for him. I gave him a set. Gave him that set of pickups. Bruno DSL says, are the burn marks also custom shop ones? They are... home custom shop, yes. Garage custom shop. There's even one back here. There's another one back here. Try not to say anything more. I like this guy. I like the owner of this guitar. I don't want to go too hard on the burn marks. All right, Pure Blues. Got the neck back on. We have to pull it off again because to adjust the relief. All right, we're barely 1.5 into this, and I'm putting this guitar back together already. I guess these jobs don't take as long as I think they do. Next up down the pipeline, I have an older Gibson that's going to be taking an acoustic that's going to be taking a Bridge Doctor. I don't know if I'm going to do it on camera. I'm going to try unless it just doesn't work out. I have an Aerodyne Telecaster that I have now for the store, or I can own it or play it or whatever, that I'm going to restring, which is a very cool looking Telecaster. However, the last owner put 11s on it, and it has an action higher than Snoop Dogg. So once I fix all that, I'm going to give it a whirl with some reasonably sized strings and a nice setup and try it out. Bruno DSL says, I'm having war flashbacks in my guitar, and I just recrowned the frets on it. Fret work is not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but it's tolerable. I usually just sit back and watch like a podcast or like a movie or something while I do it. But I guess it's really, well, then again, that's this guitar in particular that didn't take me as long as I thought. Sometimes you got to shave a lot off the frets, and then the more you shave, the more time you got to spend crowning it. And so these weren't that bad. These weren't all that wore in. There was some wear marks, and now that's all gone. And there's still plenty good fret height on these. Originally, he wanted me to pull these frets out and put stainless steel in. And I told him, well, for like the work and the price of all that, you might as well just buy a new neck. You can find like awesome roasted maple necks on Reverb and eBay with stainless steel frets for like starting at $200. And that's cheaper than what I would charge to redo this in stainless steel. It's probably going to be even better because you don't have to worry about tear out or anything. It's a brand new neck. But yeah, I don't necessarily, on a removable neck guitar, swap the frets. I don't know. That's one of those arguments or one of those big debates. And it's like, aside from the custom shop relicking, this is a Mexican neck that he or somebody put a USA water slide decal on. I don't know. I don't think it's worth putting money into to change the frets. However, level polished crown, I think is totally worth it in an endeavor for this, because that will improve this neck by far. Although it wasn't that bad to begin with, but it's still an improvement. Time to string. I do like vintage style tuners. I like that the sharp part of the string gets wound into the tuner. You don't cut your fingers on them. I like the look of them. If they're installed correctly, they can just about work just as good as the non-vintage tuners. Let's get these all on here and tuned up. Now with these, I usually I count the one that I'm going to wind it around. 1, 2, 3, 4. And clip it about there. And in, up. Around, tighten. It's going to be nice playing this guitar when I do fret jobs like this. So smooth to bend on these shiny mirror-like frets. Still got to spend some time dialing it in. Bruno says, is it 4 because you have to put it inside the post? Yeah. Yeah, I count 4 because about like 1.5 inches gets kind of like stuck down in there. So you got to kind of add that to the length of what gets wrapped around. So for this one, the G, I measure 4 and then off the G. So about right there would be where the 4th one is. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Clip it. And so you can see it's a good about 3 inches past the tuner I have. And then a lot of it goes in. You'll see, I'll show you how much actually goes in here. That's about 1 inch. 1 inch is just dedicated to anchoring itself, and then the rest gets wrapped around. And that nets about 3 wraps or so around each one of these. Four clip. Hey, I just noticed there's no string tree on this guitar. That's kind of shocking. This guy bends a lot, so I'm surprised he doesn't bend these strings off the headstock. However, this set of tuners is staggered. They get shorter the further up the headstock you go, so I'm sure that contributes to the reason why he does not need a string tree. Because I imagine if it was an issue, he would have put one on already, because he's had this guitar at least like 4 years. All right. Let's tune. He tunes to E flat. So I'm glad I remembered that. We're going to do this in E flat. I'm going to plug it in. Oh, we have this. Ooh. I think it slipped in here. On that case, maybe it wasn't seated all the way in the bridge and now it just slipped. Hello. The string didn't break, but I think I can cut a little bit more off of it now. Or what probably happened is the ball end caught around the very base of the trim block and didn't exactly go all the way in its hole. And now that it slipped, we have all that distance now. Because, yeah, now this string is a little bit more longer now than what it needs to be. Actually, no, not really. What slipped then? Weird. I'm going to just clip the very little tip off it and try it again. That was weird. I don't know what happened. There we go. Again, these are Pure Blues 10s. By DR. Where's that blue pick, Jaime? Do you have it? Okay, I don't know where it is now. All right, it's all right. It's no big deal. I'll grab another one. Grab a pick. Let me check the amount of relief. That's actually good. Nice. All right, cool. Bruno says those strings look very loose for 10s on E flat. I used to tune my guitar one step down with the same gauge, and they didn't move that much. That's not my concern. They seem fine to me. It must be just how they look on camera, Bruno. But these pickups kind of sound really weak. I don't know. This kind of sounds and feels dull. It's kind of the nature of the instrument coming through the pickups, though. I don't know. Yeah, bending's definitely smooth, but that's not my issue right now. It sounds like boom, 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 boom. It almost sounds like palm muting, and I'm not palm muting the string. So I don't know if that's because of these saddles. I don't get it. Maybe it's these strings. Maybe I jinxed myself when I said he's going to play these and be like, oh, look. He says, then again, I'm hearing it over YouTube, something stereo headphones. Bruno asked, are those pure nickel strings? Yeah, they are pure nickel. Yeah, I think you're right, Bruno. Maybe these strings do sound like that. And to be honest, I've carried these and sold these for a while, but I hardly ever use these. So it may just not be used to those. So you're right. We may just want to play this one out. The only thing I really want to check since I have this, because it just doesn't look right, but I'm going to measure to make sure, are the pickup heights. And also, I'm going to get some tape, and there's some steel wool dust on the pickup magnets I'm going to try to remove with the tape. The relief is good. The action isn't terrible, but I think he actually, the player plays a higher action than your average person. So I think this is all in all good. Let me adjust that middle pickup. Okay, this is weird. We actually got more. Okay, I'm going to adjust these the way I like them. Okay, we got more height on the bass side than the treble side, and that's odd. So we're gonna change that and raise it. Yeah, that's a good point, Bruno. It may just be the strings I put on here, which is giving the result. Let me raise these more. I usually go higher on this side than bass side. Maybe I need to add a little bit of crunch to this and not judge these from a purely clean standpoint either. Perfect. All right, good. And then yeah, maybe the strings, but they sound like rubber bands. Rob says, hey, saw a video on my feed. Is there anything to that trick where you loosen the neck bolt quarter return into the seat the neck in closer? Never tried it. It's supposed to be more for sustain. Anyone know? You talking about the neck screws? I've heard tricks like that. You can also loosen and retighten them under string tension. That will help push the neck in. The strings help pull the neck back into the body. We could try that. Just, I guess, loosen them all a little bit. What he says. There we go. And we tighten them back. Give it a try. I loosened them and then tightened them again. I didn't leave them loose. I get a little distortion and try not to clip the mic. I know a lot of times it gets too loud and clips the mic. I need to get a different microphone for this setup. But I think the best one would be a lavalier, something I can clip to myself. Or maybe one of them like Garth Brooks style headset mics, you know, like the ShamWow guy. kind of headpiece mics. I'd be okay with wearing those. Oh yeah, they definitely sound a lot better with distortion. I'm trying not to clip the microphone volume because if it goes into compression or into protection, it compresses and it doesn't sound good over the stream. Yeah. It's so smooth. These strings are really dull. Not that that's a bad thing. Some people just may prefer that, but yeah, these things sound almost like rubber bands on this guitar. These are pure nickel strings, so that's probably the cause of that. Interesting. The playability of this hasn't really changed much. Like the frets are smoother and it's easier to bend, but nothing else really changed in terms of the action. I set this guitar up 4 years ago, and that really hasn't changed much. Nobody else has messed with it. I guess the only thing I can really do is maybe check the intonation, but it plays great. I don't feel the need to change anything unless he just asked me to after he plays it and be like, hey, can you raise or lower, whatever. I'll do it for him if he asks, but I don't feel it the need to because not much has really changed on this. Bruno also says, and the round core. Most strings nowadays use a hex core for better coupling on the wound one since the wound core windings can slip. Yeah, pure nickel round core. I've never really used these. And now that I have, personally, I don't know. I have to, I guess, maybe keep this type of sound in mind for other projects, but that's not something I would use. I like a nice, bright, clear sound, and this is obviously a little bit the opposite. One string that kind of has like a nice, well balanced that I've been using recently has been the Ernie Ball Cobalts. They're not as bright and straightforward, but then again, they're well rounded. So when you play them, they don't sound as like dark or dull as these do. That they're not as bright, but they do sound well rounded. I do recommend trying the Cobalts. It depends on the style too. Like Cobalts would be great for like a good kind of modern rock rhythm guitar player, I would think, or even like maybe a heavy metal rhythm guitar player. But not really. I usually like brighter strings for high gain music. Interesting. I guess we'll, at this point, I don't know. I guess I can play some more notes before I end the stream. But I guess it's just up to what the customer wants to take his guitar from this point. Let me check the intonation. Who knows? Maybe he'll really like these strings and be like, where have these been all my life? Bruno says, yeah, but the only thing that changes on Cobalts is the wound strings. True. Yeah, it's just the plain strings are the regular ones. Yeah, he's right. Good point. A lot of different string companies. So I guess same with Elixir too, because like I think on Elixir, all their non-wound strings are pretty much all the same. I turned the distortion off for this. This little Laney amp below my desk. All right, try this. All right, that's slightly sharp, but I don't have any room to go back. No, that's in tune. That's in tune. I'm bending it sharp. No, it's sharp. I don't have any room to go back on the saddle, though. Well, the intonation stayed. Now we're getting an in-tune D sharp. All right. Bruno says, I had the discovery when I got their custom gauge stainless steel sets, and only the winding strings are the stainless. Only Fender seems to have stainless steel set, or all the strings are stainless. I don't know. You may want to try DR2. The DR high beams are awesome. I will put that on most guitars, especially if it's also what Dimebag Darrell used to use. So anything high gain, anything like you plan on using a lot of distortion for, those things are awesome. I highly recommend the DR high beams. Not that these are bad strings. It's not my preference in tone. Because as far as strings go, these are, they didn't break. I mean, that's very low bar, granted, but also they're staying in tune fairly well, considering I just put these on. So they are performing like a decent string, although I'm not technically fond of the way they sound. That doesn't mean they're bad. It's just, it's just my opinion on them. And then he said, Bruno says he emailed Ernie Ball about it, and they confirmed it. Okay. Rob says, have you ever tried Fender Super Bullets in a Strat? I have once, way back in the day, and the Fender strings were awesome. I liked them at the time. I would carry them, but I'm not a Fender dealer at this time. So I have to go to a third party to get Fender strings, and I don't really like doing that. I try the best I can to order straight from the manufacturer. You get the best deals. Bruno says, I currently have regular Slinkies on the guitar. Maybe I'll try NYXLs the next time. The Diodario NYXLs are awesome. They are great strings as well, too. They sound good. Between those, the high beams, and the Ernie Balls, they're all good strings. I would almost favor the NYXLs, except I'm not a Diodario dealer. I tried to be a dealer, and then they gave me a big runaround back in the day. I'm about to reapply to become a dealer, so hopefully they'll let me on this time because I have a store and everything. At first, when I applied, I was doing it out of my house, and I understand. They don't want to give dealerships to people without a storefront, and that's fine. But when I got a storefront, I reapplied again, and they were like, oh, sorry, you can't become a dealer because you already applied once and we didn't let you. And I was like, yeah, but so anyway, it didn't make sense. That's what they told me. So I'm going to reach out to them again. This is now years later. I'm going to reach out to them again. Hopefully they'll allow me to buy an account directly, because
They're a conglomerate like most are. So it's like ProMark, Planet Waves, Diodario, and Rico Reeds. And I like just about all those products, especially ProMark, Planet Waves, and Diodario. They make great stuff. Diodario makes even great strings for violins and orchestral instruments, which I play as well too. I would love to be a Diodario dealer if they will let me, but it's been a while since I applied, so I think I need to reapply again. I know that's one of the. I'm actually really hoping that I'm actually making room on my shelf by discontinuing some of the other series and sets I carry, so that I can have space in my small shop on the string wall behind me, so that I can have Diodario products because they are very popular. That's another reason I want Diodario in their stores, not only because their strings are good, but I know I can sell a lot of them because I got a lot of people that come in and ask me all the time for them. Rob says, I just put their 9.5s on my telly. Now, was that the MYXLs or was that the, because I know Ernie Ball has like their turbo slinkies, which are 9.5s. Okay. He says, yeah. So I guess that was just MYXLs. It almost sounds distorted or buzzy. I think when I deliver this guitar, I'm going to sell him an extra set of the GHS strings he normally puts on this. Maybe I'll just include this in the price of the job. This was kind of my experiment on this instrument. If he doesn't like them, I'll send him a set of GHS strings that you can swap it. Or if he's just like, when he comes and gets it right away, he's like, no, I'll swap the strings. Not a big deal. Bruno says there are other new ones with something in theory, with ones which in theory are longer lasting, XS and XT. Yeah, have seen those. Those are coated. I believe he's talking. Bruno's talking about the other series of Diodario strings. Diodario has a lot of different choices. They manufacture a pretty wide range of strings. I would definitely carry their standard electrics, their NYXLs for sure. Their standard phosphor bronze and 80/20 bronze acoustic sets, and I do have a lot of customers that come in and ask for the XTs. So that's definitely up my alley. If Diodario will allow me an account, I will be happy to purchase thousands of dollars in products from them. But it's been a while, so I need to reapply and see what they say. I'm almost tempted to put him on now, but I'm just gonna see what he says. But then again, the strings I removed off this instrument were gross. That's no excuse for me, but like there was like rust dangling from the bottom of these old strings. It was bad. I cleaned the neck before I started sanding it because it was that gross. See you later, Rob. appreciate you watching. I'm about to end the stream here myself. Well, I guess at this point, we're going to see how the customer likes it, and we'll tailor it from this experience. I may not follow up. However, you can always ask about it in the comment. I'll leave the video up. I don't delete videos after streams. So if you want to like ask the progress in the future, you can write me a comment. I can do updates in the description, or you respond directly to your comments if you're curious about how this one turned out, or any job for that matter. Because I know in a couple of my videos, or I know like on one guitar video I promised to follow, or was supposed to, but I never recorded the follow up to it because it really wasn't real. It was that black guitar. I was supposed to change the Strat. I was supposed to change the plastics on. But none of the, so I just ended up just putting it back together and basically just stringing it. So that was very uneventful. I didn't do a follow up on that. So, but if there's any other jobs I do, y'all want like a follow up on, y'all can always ask me in the comment section of that video, and I'll respond to it. So without further ado, I appreciate y'all watching. And if you're one of my students, you should probably get off the internet and practice. Thank you all. I will catch you next time.